An advergame is a video game that advertises a brand name or product, and the practice has been around since the 1980s. In-game advertising is used quite often, and I'm sure you can think of plenty of examples of branding in games that you've played before. The focus of this video, though, is on games that were designed specifically to promote a product. Many of these games have the name of the product in the title itself. The focus here is on games that were unabashedly advergames. I'm sure I'll miss some, but these are some of the ones that stick out the most to me. Enjoy! The Noid was the mascot of the pizza chain Domino's during the 1980s. He was part of a campaign that promised pizza delivery within 30 minutes or your food was free or discounted. Problems arose when delivery drivers began driving recklessly to make it to their destinations, and Domino's was eventually sued for putting dangerous drivers on the road, but not before the Noid made his way into gaming history. There's also an absolutely insane story about a man who entered a Domino's in Georgia and held employees hostage because he happened to share a name with the mascot, but that's for a different discussion. Avoid the Noid was a platform computer game released on the Commodore 64 in 1989 to promote Domino's Pizza. The player has to avoid Noids as they attempt to deliver a pizza to the top floor of a fictional building called Doom Industries. You can jump, roll, and dodge the Noids as you progress, and you have limited Noid avoiders that remove all of your enemies from the screen. The only place you are truly safe is in an elevator, many of which require keys to unlock. The game is absolutely terrible, which will become a recurring theme in this video. Chex Quest was a first-person shooter game released in 1996 for Microsoft Windows. It was converted from Doom, but all of the gore and violence of Doom was removed to make it a kid-friendly title. This might be the most famous advergame ever made, and what's shocking is that it actually had real fans. It's certainly the most popular game to ever be included in a cereal box, and it boosted Chex sales by a considerable margin during the mid to late 90s. I'd say more about the gameplay, but it really is just Doom. The game was so popular that it even received comparisons to GoldenEye 2, and it still has a cult following in small circles of the gaming community today. Chex Quest received 2 sequels and is the greatest success story of any advergame that was made specifically to advertise a product. Pepsi Man was an action game developed and published for the PlayStation in 1999. You play as Pepsi Man, the mascot of the famous soda company, and you run through different levels while avoiding obstacles with jumps and dashes. The game never made its way to the States, but it was moderately successful in Japan and helped Pepsi advertise their product to outside markets. It was met to surprisingly positive reception, and some reviewers said that it was a fun and simple version of Crash Bandicoot. I respectfully disagree, even though the game is funny because of the way it portrays American values and habits. It's one of the weirdest games you'll ever play, and as far as advergames go, it isn't the absolute worst thing you'll ever see. Despite some critical praise, the game still sold poorly. Cheetos made their foray into the advergame market with 2 Chester Cheetah games in 1992 and 93. The first was Chester Cheetah, Too Cool to Fool, and the second was Chester Cheetah Wild Wild Quest. Too Cool to Fool was a simple side-scrolling platformer that had Chester jump on enemies to make his way through the level and grab a scooter to progress to the next stage of the game. It's bad. The sequel, Wild Wild Quest, is a bit better, but still nothing to write home about. It's designed like a road trip of America, as Chester's map is torn to pieces at the beginning of the game, and players are assigned the task of recovering by visiting cities across the US. Like many of the advergames in this video, Chester Cheetah received mixed reviews, with more critics erring on the negative side of things. Neither of these games were good, but Chester Cheetah might be the coolest mascot in this video. It's too bad his games sucked. Mickey D's introduced their own advergame called McDonald's Treasureland Adventures in 1993. It's yet another platformer with a simple side-scrolling design that functions to advertise more than it does to entertain. Like Chester Cheetah, Ronald McDonald works to put together a map in this game, but his goal is to find treasure instead of aimlessly wandering around America. The gameplay is very simple. Run left or right, attack, jump, and grapple. That's it. The plot also falls short and is underdeveloped across the game's 4 stages. It received mostly negative reviews and fits in perfectly alongside other adver games that failed to do anything innovative or fun. During late 2006, Burger King released 3 games as promotion pieces during the holiday season. The first was Pocket Bike Racer, a cheap little racing game that was tagged as the best of the trio of Burger King games that were released that year. The second game was Sneak King, and players do exactly what it sounds like. Sneak around as the Burger King mascot and try to deliver food to hungry customers. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but Sneak King drew comparisons to Metal Gear Solid because of the field of vision mechanics and the set patterns that NPCs displayed when walking around the level. This game is not Metal Gear Solid. It's just bad. The third BK game was Big Bumpin', a bumper car game that placed you in an arena with traps, boosters, and other players to smash your way to victory. While this game is far from good, it's the best of the Burger King 3. All of these games were sold alongside Happy Meals for $4 during their promotion, but they weren't worth $4 collectively. In-game advertising has been a popular strategy for product exposure over the years. Unskippable ads are becoming more and more common, and there's a good chance that brand placement will be a bigger part of good games in the coming years. There's a difference in in-game advertising and adver games, though. Adver games are almost always bad, and they only exist for marketing reasons. They're one of the most reprehensible contributions to gaming history, but they're a part of history nonetheless. There are more of these titles that didn't make the list, like Kool-Aid, Doritos, Coca-Cola, Taco Bell, 7-Up, and several others. Which ones have you played? What are your thoughts on creating games strictly for advertising? Is it better than the regular product placement that we've seen in sports games, Metal Gear Solid, Alan Wake, Mario Kart, and a plethora of other titles? Tell me in the comments below. If you enjoy our content, please share it on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, and with everyone that you know. Don't forget to check out our Patreon too if you're into that. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.